All right, so we're gonna wait just a few seconds here as people start rolling in. We want to make sure everybody's all comfy and ready to join us. I hope everyone is having a good morning here before we get started. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to P&P Live. My name is Heidi, and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator of Politics and Prose, and I have the pleasure of hosting our event this morning. Thank you for joining us and tuning into this format where we continue to bring authors and new books to you. I am pleased to welcome our guest, Jillian Tamaki. You can buy your copy of Jillian's new book, Our Little Kitchen, by clicking on the link in the chat box. And please keep an eye out for a poll that you can take later in the program. If you have a question for Jillian, you, a family member, or your teacher can click the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen and add one there. At the end of the chat, Jillian will have time to answer some of your questions. You can also vote on questions you like and want most answered. We do ask that questions are related to the book, author, or topics brought up during the event. As always, thank you for your kindness and positive engagement while joining us today. Now on to the event you're waiting for. Jillian Tamaki is a cartoonist and illustrator. She grew up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and attended the Alberta College of Art and Design. The graphic novel she wrote with her cousin Mariko Tamaki this one summer won a Caldecott Honor in 2015. Her graphic novels center on the messy and confusing parts of growing up. She draws comics, book illustration, and teaches. Her first picture book, They Say Blue, was released in 2018 and is described as a reminder to slow down, savor the present, notice small details, and relish the childlike wonder. I now turn the event over to Jillian.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I am going to get my cat off the table. I don't know if you have a cat at home, but they really, really like to do whatever you're doing and be in whatever if you're trying to get work done, they're just always there. That's my cat, my studio cat. Thank you for coming. This is my book, Our Little Kitchen. We're going to read it today. We're going to talk about it and do some drawing. I've set up a camera, so hopefully you can watch me draw. So here's the book, and it is based on an experience I had in Brooklyn, New York. Maybe some of you guys are from Brooklyn or New York City. About cooking together, cooking in a kitchen. It was a community kitchen where we kind of came together every week to cook for our neighbors and eat together and tend the garden and pick food and cook food. And it was a really special experience for me. And that's why I wanted to write a book about it. So let me just get my computer up and we will start. There we go. Okay. Oops, hold on a sec. Let me just get this better. Maybe that'll work better. Okay. This is called the title page. Our Little Kitchen by Jillian Tamaki. Hi. Hello. Every Wednesday, we come together in this little kitchen. Hello. You know you're sing-songing because there is the musical notes. Our little kitchen, a tiny small place, is just big enough, so squeeze in and make space. Tie on your apron. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on a sec. I don't know if you can see my text messages coming up. Tie on your apron, roll up your sleeves. Okay, hold on a second. This is...
Hey, Jillian, just a quick note that we can see you, but we can't see the book.
You can see me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me see. Sorry about that.
There we go.
Can you see the book now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
Technical difficulties. I'll start again. Hi. Hello. Every Wednesday, we come together in this little kitchen. Hello. The musical notes indicate that sort of a sing-songy voice. Our little kitchen, or sorry, hello, everybody says together. Our little kitchen, a tiny small place, is just big enough, so squeeze in and make space. Tie on your apron, roll up your sleeves. Pans are out, oven is hot. The kitchen's all ready. Where do we start? Well, let's look around and see what we've got. What we've grown, what we've kept, been given and bought. All we need is around us. We just need to look. Here's everybody getting ready. Washing your hands, very important these days. See how our little garden has grown? Remember how we push seeds into soil one by one? Tomatoes are ripe. I'll pick a few. Look at these zooks. We'll use them up too. These carrots, though, still so very small. The lettuce is holy. Bugs ate it through. So in this panel, there's a lot of people talking, different people talking, and you can see who's talking by following the balloons. So that's what he's here. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but these are called balloons, and you can see them in comics a lot. And you can tell who's talking by following the tail, and that's the little pointy part. And you can see who's talking by following the tails. So that's called the tail, and this is called the bubble. I found some carrots, just a week or two old. Half of a celery, 10 radishes. Oh, don't know what this is, but it's gotta go. The bakery brought us some day-old loaves. A minute in the oven, maybe two. Ah, soft and warm, good as new. 3 bags of apples, some of them bruised. Cut off the brown bits, they're still good to use. A few sticks of butter, cinnamon sugar, oats from the cupboard, a sweet apple crumble. So in this middle picture, she's sort of imagining all the good smells. And that's the really cool part about drawing, is that you can draw what is imaginary, what is not actually there, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be so realistic. You can let your imagination go crazy. Beans from the food bank, third week in a row, but it's what we've got. We'll use them somehow. Bean salad, bean soup, bean tacos, bean stew. I'm out of ideas. What about you? I had to text my. So this was sort of a question to the reader, right? What about you? What else do you know that is made with beans? You probably can think of some things that I've never heard of even. Glug, glug, glug. Our little kitchen's really cooking now. Listen to the delicious music we make. Sizzle, spit, chop, 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 chop. Sprinkle, pick. All the sounds of the kitchen coming together. Slice, beep, peel, trim, splash, toss, squish. I wanted this section to be really fun to read out loud. 15 minutes. You know she's shouting because it's got that spiky balloon and it's really, really big. Here come the early birds. Grab your favorite seat. How is life treating you? How is your week? Good to see you. New haircut. Nice weather. So right. Fork, knife, and spoon. Now roll it up tight. 10 more minutes, shouts from the kitchen. And still so much to do. Behind you, watch out, salad coming through. It looks like we're having chili again. Those Those that don't cook don't get to complain. Well, it's not perfect, but it's the best I could do. 2 minutes left. Let's wrap it up, crew. You can see where the balloons are kind of getting all twisted around each other. Already can't be. Where's the salt? Where's the cheese? Give me 1 minute. Just one more sec, please. No, 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 no. Our neighbors are waiting. I mean it. Let's go. The presentation, the final display. So this panel doesn't have any words, but I would invite you to sort of think about what the sounds would be. You know, maybe it's talking, maybe it's utensils rattling and laughing, or people asking, oh, I'd like a little bit more of that. This one's a little bit up to your imagination, what it sounds like. The best sound in the world is slurp. Is your body warm? Is your belly full? So these have balloons, but as you can see, there's no words, but there are pictures inside, and that sort of indicates what the person is talking about. So bike riding, hockey, somebody stubbed their toe, a book, a dog, all the things people talk about. One little kitchen can't give us all that we need, but would you like seconds? Delicious as always. A kiss on the cheek. Have a nice evening. See you next week. Okay, time to clean up. They all just want a little break, but there's always something next. There's a next thing to do. There's a next task. And there's never any end, especially if you're cooking food and making a mess. You always have to clean up at the end. So that's the end of the book. So I'm going to stop the share. So as was mentioned at the beginning of the talk, there is going to be a poll, and we're going to decide your favorite snack, and I'm going to draw a recipe because, oh, here's the poll. It just popped up for me. Can you see it? So you can choose from chocolate chip cookie, tomato soup, ham sandwich, hummus, ants on a log. Does everybody know what ants on a log are? Maybe if you don't know, you can choose it, and we'll make it on paper, and I can show you what ants on a log are. That was a favorite snack when I was growing up. Smoothie, fruit popsicle. Okay, and that's based on, oops. These are my end papers. They're the part of the book that before the story starts, but it's like attached to the cover here. These are called end papers. And on my end papers, after the story is over and before the story starts, I have recipes. So you can actually cook a recipe. And this one is for apple crumble, because it's at the end of the book, right? So it's dessert. And for the first one is vegetable soup. So, and do you guys know what a recipe is? A recipe is a set of instructions for cooking a meal. And it sort of is a little guideline to do this first, do that first. And then if you follow the recipe correctly, you will come up hopefully with something really, really tasty. Okay, so I'm gonna switch over now to my camera. Can you see me? Hi. So our little kitchen uses some elements of comics, right? Let's see if I can get underneath here. I was mentioning the balloons. That's a big part of comics. And comics can really look like anything, right? Here's another one. Maybe you guys have seen Calvin and Hobbes. So these are comics too. These are called panels. And these, you can see that it also has balloons in there. But we use comics in a really popular way now. And I think that those are emojis, you know, those little things. Everybody knows what an emoji is, right? Sort of the little things on your phone. Let me see if I can get this a little bit straighter. There we go. That show your emotions, right? And here's some of the super, super simple ones. So we have happy, we have sad, we have really, really happy. Can we make him even more happy? Sort of a close your eyes, you're smiling and laughing so much. How about this one? What does that face say? Maybe sort of like shy or disappointed. So these are really, really effective ways of showing emotions. And normally, I think if I was in a classroom with you guys, I would say, what are some emotions? And we would sort of come up with some together, but we can't. So I'm just going to imagine what you guys would shout out. Maybe angry. What's some other ones? How about this one? Maybe suspicious or annoyed, this guy. And they don't always have to have, you know, dots for eyes. You know, that's sort of the default, that we would have little lines or dots for eyes, but you can think about this one, right? You can sort of swap in little symbols that make it even more exaggerated. So I would, maybe that's a fun thing to do, is practice drawing your favorite emojis and think about how you can show different emotions when you're drawing, right? This one is usually, it's a little different. It looks like it's maybe whiskers, but this one is shy. That's a little bit of a cartooning shorthand. It shows shy, like you're blushing, right? Or you could, if you had a pink crayon, you could like sort of color in the cheeks, and then it would be like pink cheeks. Here's another little symbol. The little sweat beads coming off. That means, what does that mean? Sort of like nervous or freaking out, right? So different emotions that we can feel, they can be really useful. Comics can be a really useful way of showing that. And here's balloon. We were talking about balloons when they're reading, right? So here's the little tail and the balloon. And so, you know, some of us are, I think, a little bit older, so we can write, you know, no, thank you. Right? Oh, it might be flipped in the thing. But if you don't know how to write yet, or you're like more comfortable doing this, you could say, you could always use balloons the way I did in the book too, where you're drawing everybody loves cats, we already established. You can draw a picture within the balloon as well, right? And then it's pretty clear that somebody's talking about a cat. You don't need to necessarily write with words. And then paired with the emotion, that's a really clear what's going on, right? What this person is saying. I'm going to color in the eyes there, red eyes. Okay, so our poll is back up, and about which snack we would like you would like to see me draw. I'm at your service, and we can draw a recipe together, and I can show you a little bit how I did those end paper recipes as I showed you earlier. So has everybody got their poll in one last moment? Does everybody have their selection? Because I think we're almost ready to draw the recipe. Oh, chocolate chip cookies. I think that might be the most so chocolate chip cookies won the poll. Oh no, this is actually a little bit more complicated than some of the other ones. So I'm gonna have to think. So first of all, what happens with you guys are putting me through my paces. Okay, so what goes in chocolate chip cookies? So obviously chocolate chips, or else they wouldn't be called chocolate chip cookies, right? So here's the chocolate chips. Usually a recipe starts out with the ingredient list, because you have to know what to go to the store to buy, right? Does anybody here cook with their grown-ups? Have you ever sort of helped out in the kitchen, or know how to fix your own snacks, or like helped your grown-up like prepare ingredients? I remember when I was a kid, one of the first things I learned how to cook on my own um, were cookies. Well, it might be backwards. Actually, I'm not going to write it just because I don't want to get confusing. So butter, we have chocolate chips, we have flour. I keep my flour in like a little glass thing like this. So I'm going to draw that. Just so it doesn't look empty, I'm going to put little flour grains or whatever they are in here. What else is there? There's sugar. Sugar usually comes in a bag, right? I'm going to put an S. Might be backwards on the thing, but there we go. So S for sugar. And there's usually some salt, right? A little bit of salt. And vanilla, right? Vanilla comes in a big, or I should say a little thing. It's brown, right? And eggs. Okay. So, but usually you have to crack the egg. So I'm going to like sort of draw that. You're not going to put the whole egg in by itself. That would just be madness, right? So a couple eggs. Okay, so I'm going to have to simplify it a little bit. If anybody's actually made cookies, this is probably a little bit simple, but I'm going to put the egg and the butter. Oh, there we go. What else? I think you put the vanilla in. I'm probably missing some ingredients. You put all the wet ingredients in here. I'm going to show that they're wet, right? So I'm going to put the little splashes. And then you can put the dry ingredients into another bowl. How to show that it's dry? I like the little splashes to show it's wet, but maybe I'll do this. Right? You mix. So those little like swooshes show that you're sort of mixing. You sort of mix this too. Yeah, see. There we go. Okay, so these are all mixed together. And then we sort of combine them. I'm going to draw a little arrow here. Let's do this. Just a little picture of them coming together, I guess. Hopefully that shows that you're kind of putting them together. Dump like that. Okay. Now we have our big bowl of cookie dough coming together. That's when this is the fun part. I really like this part where you're bringing the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. And I think at this point you get to put these guys in here too. I'm going to draw the little chips going in. They kind of look like sixes or quotation marks. Okay, so you got that. Sort of mix that guy up. And now we get to roll them out. This is also a really fun part. Maybe I'll draw a picture of hands actually rolling them. Sort of a back and forth motion where you're going like this and you're rolling them into balls. And then you get a couple dozen of those. There we go. This is a very free form. And then you put them on the little cookie tin. And you have to leave some space in between so that they don't expand outwards too much because they're going to grow in the oven. There we go. And then you put them in the oven. Maybe I'll just draw a little oven. Here's the tin. They go inside here, obviously. I'll draw heat coming off the oven. So these little squiggly lines are another great little cartooning symbol, squiggle line. So that could mean hot, but it can also mean smelly. So you have to be careful with that one. In this case, they smell good, but usually a little squiggle line means smells bad. And then when you're done, they come out, they're all puffed up. Chocolate chip cookies. And I'm going to kind of use this symbol in the book, but these little sort of fragrant, right? Because we can't smell these cookies, right? But I really wanted you to feel like you were there and you could smell them. So I sort of use this a lot in the book, as you might have remembered, that these sort of nice fragrance, smoky lines, because I really wanted you to imagine. Everybody smelled what maybe delicious food tastes like, I hope. So that's what I wanted to evoke and represent with these little swooshy lines. So here's our very messy recipe, but there it is, chocolate chip cookies, right? Okay, thank you, everybody. So I think that Heidi is going to come back and we're going to answer some questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, that was so inspiring. I really want to go and make some chocolate chip cookies now. Really.
Right? They chose the most complicated one, and I was like, oh no, I don't know if I make cookies off the top of my head. Follow an actual recipe, but the general gist.
But my daughter makes them all the time, and that is it. That is what you do.
Awesome. Yeah, that was what was one of the first things that you cooked when you were a kid?
Oh gosh. Yeah, probably cookies.
Yeah, me too.
kids love them and you can share them with people and it's
Everybody loves them. You're
yeah,
you're everybody's favorite person if you make cookies and you give them.
exactly. Yeah. Perfect thing to share. I love it.
Right.
All right, we have some questions, so we'll go ahead and jump into those. Though someone did say, Alexandra White said, yes, many children in my class help grown-ups cook. So you're talking to the
Amazing.
right
Yep.
crowd. Yeah,
There's a
for
lot
sure.
a kid can do in the kitchen.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Okay, so we'll get started. So Benjamin Choi has a question. He wants to know how many books you have written.
Oh my gosh. It's getting up there. Not all of them are for kids. I have 3 picture books, so sort of for
Yeah,
younger readers.
I have some of
Uh,
those there. I
oh,
have,
there they are.
yeah,
Yep.
I've got books, which
Yep.
is
And
nice.
then I have another one that came out earlier this year too. So I have 3 picture books for kids, and then I do some stuff for teenagers, mostly comic stuff. And those are for older teenagers, but adults too. A lot of adults read them. And then I have one book that's for adults. So, but they're all kind of they're obviously all illustrated because I'm an illustrator. And I don't write all of them. I love collaborating with other people too. So some of them I work with a writer, but most of them are comics. So they're using some of that comic language that I spoke to. And I hope that you will try too. Comics are so fun and they're really easy and they don't need to look any special way. And you just need a pen and paper. And I really hope people will try making comics because comics are really popular too now.
Yeah,
You
I
make
mean,
them.
not only doing them, but reading them. I think some kids just
Absolutely.
maybe say they're not so interested in reading, but if you pick up a graphic novel,
Yep.
you're gonna love it. Love it.
Yeah. Graphic novels so popular and it's really, really nice to see that kids and everybody's reading them, but especially
Yeah.
kids because they're great.
Yeah. So the next question is from Marie Silla, and it kind of is a great segue question because she asks, what type of books do you like to read?
Oh my gosh. I like well, I also like reading, like I guess it's not reading, but it is reading in a way, like audiobooks too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes I like mysteries, but I also like reading history, like sort of like social history books, where you're sort of finding out the origins of things or the history of like a thing really well, like
Yeah.
houses. Why do we have a living room? I
Yeah,
like that sort of stuff.
fascinating. Yeah.
What's a coffee table?
Right. What's a coffee maker?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish I was a better reader though. I think that I love reading, but I'm not that fast at reading. And I really, really wish I was better at reading, but I'm persistent. So I do eventually get through the book,
Yeah.
but it takes me some time. So I don't know if that's also nice
Yeah.
to
I
hear
mean,
for some of our readers out there.
I mean, you're enjoying it. I think as long as you're
Yeah,
reading, it doesn't matter what pace you're reading at, as long as you're enjoying it.
absolutely. Absolutely, totally.
Okay, let's see. The next question is from Katie. She would like to know, what materials do you use to illustrate your books?
Oh my gosh, like so much. I would show you. So I'm in my studio right now. It's not it's not that I can see. So I was doing one event once and I was sort of facing this wall of books. This is the only bookshelf I have in my whole house. And one of the kids asked, "Why is your bookshelf so messy?" I was like,
Questions like that.
yeah, it was so funny. I was just like, I don't know. I just have a lot of them. So I have so many ways of making books because and drawings because I have a really short attention span. Maybe that's something to do with also my problem with reading books. But I never like to work with one way all the time. So this book was done with a pen nib. Let me see if I can. I don't have it. I'm in my studio right now, which is a nib like this. It's like a I don't know if here we go. So it's like a pen, but you have to dip it into ink. Here's some.
It's like an old-fashioned pen.
Exactly, and here's the ink, right?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it is like old-fashioned, like it doesn't have quite like a feather on the
Right.
end, but it's very, very, very similar. And you sort of dip,
Yeah.
and then you sort of drag it over the paper, and then you have to like sort of wash it out once in a while and like dip again, and then drag it over the paper again.
Oh, that's
And then I
cool.
have like other tools like a brush pen. Yeah, I feel
Mm,
like a makeup person.
yeah.
So here's like a brush pen that has like ink in it,
Mhm.
and I've done whole books with this too. But then,
Wow.
you know what? I also use the computer a lot, like a lot of us, right? So um, I use the iPad. I did not this book, but the book before this, another picture book called My
Mm,
Best Friend.
yeah,
I
yeah.
did it totally on the iPad. So there's no physical artwork. There's
Mm,
no, piece of paper with the artwork on it. It's
yeah.
all on the iPad with uh like a I don't know what's Apple Pen. That's what it's called.
That's
So
right.
like
Like,
you can
okay.
draw
Yeah.
directly on it. Yeah. So it's all
Cool.
sorts of different stuff. I
Yeah.
really, really like to mix it up and try something new and challenge myself. And all the pictures look different. I really like it when like exploring how I can make pictures differently and how they look different and how they feel different and
Yeah. Well, as an
how
artist, you probably just want to always try something new.
yeah,
Yeah. Keep your
totally. And there's
so
always new programs and new brushes and all that stuff to try, and you'll never try all of them. So
cool. All right. The next question is from Oliver, and he asks, did you know that you were going to be an author when you were a kid, or did you get inspired later on, or author illustrator?
that's a really good question. I wish I had I have a picture in one of my presentations of that I show kids that it's not in this one obviously, but it is of me very, very young drawing, and I'm wearing like a hockey. Again, I'm in Canada, so
Yeah.
hockey has come up a couple of times,
Present.
but I'm wearing a hockey helmet and like in bed drawing, right? And that was me, I was one of those kids that
Yeah.
everybody said, you're going to be an artist, you're so good at it. And when you get praise for something, that encourages you to do it
Mhm.
more. Who knows if I was actually good at drawing, but I
You
really
are
enjoyed
now.
it. And that, yes, and then people said, "Oh, you're very, you obviously love it. You should keep on doing it." And it really encouraged me to keep on drawing. But when it's funny, when I got a little bit older, I didn't like people telling me that, because it was
Mm,
it, and nobody likes to be told what they should do
absolutely.
and who they are and what they're
Mhm.
what they should do and what they
Yeah.
can do. And I actually came to not like, I said, don't I can do other stuff
Sure.
too. So it's I for a while there, I didn't think I was going to be an artist. I didn't really want to be an artist. I wanted to be a vet for the longest time. And I
Yeah.
actually did a internship with a vet. I was very, very interested in becoming a vet, but in
Yeah.
the end, I was just better at drawing, and those were the opportunities. So it kind of circled around. So yes, I was a kid that everybody said, "Oh, you're going to be an artist," but
Mhm.
you know what? You don't. That doesn't necessarily mean that because people tell you that you have to do it, and because people aren't telling you that, it doesn't mean that you can't do that either, right? So
Right.
there's a lot that happens in between that
Yeah.
time of
Yeah.
being a little kid with a hobby or whatever and being a
Yeah.
professional. A lot can happen.
And even if you're not a good artist, you should still draw because
Absolutely.
it's amazing.
I believe that. I believe that like writing and drawing are really good for our insides,
Yeah.
whether you do it as a job or not. I really, really think that that's true.
100% agree. Okay. The next question is from Alexandra. She asks, did you decide to be a children's book author or did it happen organically? Is there a story behind that?
Ooh. Um, I always knew I wanted to eventually do a picture book because picture books are so cool. They're like
Yeah.
everybody has really strong, not everybody, but I had really strong memories of really getting lost in books and being read to in books, and really some of those things that you watch and read when you're a kid are really, they stick with you forever. I
Mhm.
think you guys probably already know that you're going to love uh whatever it is that you're watching forever, because it's really, when you're a little kid, you really take things on as your own. So I knew that I really felt like picture books are really powerful in that way. So I knew I wanted to make a picture book. And but I haven't made them for that long. It's only been the last few years. I really did comics and comics for teenagers first. And I do a lot of illustration for magazines and newspapers and other places, but my first experience with books were comics. So this is a little bit different, but as you can see, I'm trying to kind of combine those two things, right?
Yeah.
And use comics in picture books now. So
Yeah.
there wasn't something that I dreamed about doing or anything like that, but eventually when I was making books, I said, hey, I would like to try that. That looks like really intriguing. And
Yeah.
I will say that even though these are shorter, they're just as difficult to make
I'm sure.
as a really long picture, as a really long comic, because
I'm sure.
yeah, they're really, really sort of a lot of work, and you have to put a lot of like attention into the
The
drawing.
details. I mean, yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, speaking of the book, Alexandra also wants to know, is this a true story?
Yes, as I mentioned at the beginning, I worked at a food program in Brooklyn, New York for about 4 years, I think. And so it's not a true story in that these aren't the exact characters that I
Okay.
worked with there, but some of the personalities that I that I met there are definitely in that. And I also volunteer now, living in Toronto for the last few years, with adult literacy, so helping seniors learn how to read. And it's, even though it's kind of a different thing, there's no cooking, it's a really special place. It's a really magical, and obviously it's so sad because we can't meet in person with COVID anymore, but it's so similar in that it's a very warm place, but there's, not everybody agrees all the time. There's a little bit of when you're working in a team, it's not always smooth sailing, right? So I wanted to show the what it's really like to work with other people and work on a team and have a common goal and all that stuff. So that place where I volunteer now is very similar in that to the kitchen and the book, because it's about the space that you create with other people.
Yeah, the community.
Exactly,
Sure.
community. Yeah, and looking out for your neighbors and look and help, especially these days, right, where
gosh.
everything's up in the air. We really need to look out for one another.
Yes, just reaching out.
Yep.
Also related to the book, Margot would like to know, do you know why the little girl said time to clean up?
I thought it was funny because she or he never talks in the book. They're always just sort of running around and like helping out and then not helping out and sort of goofing off and playing with the cat. And it was I wanted the reader to sort of be able to spot the kid in every picture.
Oh yeah, follow her.
Yeah, sort of follow them around and see what they're up to. And then I just thought it was sort of funny when everybody who's been working is just taking a little breather, eating some dessert, trying to have a coffee, a tea, take a second, get off your feet, relax, that somebody's there. All right, time to get to the next thing. Because it really does feel like that sometimes, especially in the kitchen, where it was like, oh my gosh, you put all your effort, all your stress, it's stressful, you're getting the stuff out, blah, 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 there's chaos, there's, oh my gosh, but it always gets pulled together at the end, at the last minute. It's not perfect, but it has to go out. But then you're like, we did it. Okay, now it's time to clean up. And
just a moment.
You don't get a moment. No. It's true, right? It's like there's never an end to anything. It's always a cycle. It's always, once it's over, it starts all over again, right? Exactly. That's life.
It's true. It's a perfect metaphor for life. So I can't believe we're almost at the end of our time, but
these are amazing questions.
They're so good.
Yeah, really good.
Well, let's take one more, and it's actually a nice book to end, or nice question to end on. But Alexander wants to know, what's your favorite book? But that's such a general question, so maybe we could say, what's the book that you're really like has brought you comfort, or like something you're really enjoying during this quarantine time?
Oh my gosh, what's a book that has brought me comfort? Oh my, I'm so bad with these questions. I think a really cool book that I've read lately is by an author called, and his name is Cole Pauls, and he is a First Nations artist here in Canada, and he has a book called Dakwakata Warriors, and it is a really cool book that came out, I think earlier this year, last year, and it is sort of a superhero books, but it's about it's based on the founding stories of his nation, you
Yeah.
know? And so it's like sort of really cool because it's a combination of like superheroes and what we think of like as superheroes, but also like some of the myths and the heroes and the founding
Mm.
stories of his family and his like ancestry. So that's a really interesting book, and I think it's like very, very new. It feels new and special and really exciting, and I hope there's more books like that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, and hopefully people will check that out.
Yes. Yeah.
And oh, gosh, I wish we had more time and we could take more of these questions. People are just
No,
saying they
these
love your
questions
work.
were really, really good.
Good questions. Thank you, everyone. Yes, thank you for everyone who's watching and for asking such good questions. Jillian, thank you for joining
No,
us
thank
today and
you.
sharing your amazing book. I hope everyone will check it out. If you want to, you can click in the chat box and you can get a link to buying the book. Yeah, thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we leave today?
Sorry for the technical difficulties, and thank you for thank you for hosting. This was really, really fun.
Yeah, we had a great time. So
Yeah.
thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Check us out on our social media at Kids in Prose, and keep reading widely and stay safe, everybody. Thank you for being
Bye.
here. Bye.